It's that time of year again. Pumpkin is everywhere. But if you have diabetes, what does that mean for you? Is pumpkin good for diabetes? Should you be eating it? Stay tuned to find out. Hey everybody, Erin here with Healthy Mom, Happy Family, and I am so excited to have you here because today I am talking all about pumpkins and diabetes as part of my series, Can I Eat That with Diabetes? Now, I feel like every year, right around this time when pumpkin season, starts to come out, it does seem like pumpkin season gets longer and longer every year too. But, once I start to see pumpkin everywhere, I also start to get flooded with questions about pumpkin and blood sugar. I'm getting asked all the time, is pumpkin good for diabetes? And if I like pumpkin, can I eat pumpkin and still keep my blood sugar in check? So today I really wanted to answer those questions for you because I know, pumpkin season's here, and if you love pumpkin, I am sure this is something you want to know. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about pumpkin and its impact on blood sugar. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that if you have type 2 diabetes or you're looking to prevent developing diabetes, I would love for you to take a minute and subscribe to my channel. I'm always sharing new tips and tricks and recipes on managing type 2 diabetes, so I would love to have you join me. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all things pumpkin. So we're going to talk about if pumpkin impacts your blood sugar. I'm also going to be sharing with you if pumpkin offers any health benefits specifically for people who have diabetes. And I'm going to share with you, if you do choose to eat pumpkin, how much you can eat and how to eat it so to make sure that you're managing your blood sugar levels as best as possible. All right, so who's ready to talk all things pumpkin? Let's get started. All right, so when we're thinking about pumpkin, one of the first questions you're probably asking yourself about is, if you have diabetes, I'm sure you want to know how many carbs are in pumpkin. So that is something that I think is really important to know because pumpkin does contain carbs, right? But it's not really as high in carbs as you might think. If we look at fresh cooked pumpkin, 1 cup, so an entire cup of fresh cooked pumpkin contains only 49 calories and 12 grams of total carb along with 3 grams of fiber. So basically 9 grams of net carb. Now, if you look at canned pumpkin, it's just slightly different, okay? It's very little difference. 1 cup has 50 calories, 11 carbs, and 3 grams of fiber. So you're saving about 1 gram of carb with canned versus fresh cooked. Now, the one thing I want you to remember is that the fiber in pumpkin is really, really important when it comes to blood sugar management. That's because fiber slows down the absorption of the sugar from the food into the bloodstream. So it's helping with overall blood sugar control, and it also helps you to feel more full. So, if you think about pumpkin and you're looking at eating 1 cup of pumpkin, you're roughly getting only about 9 grams of net carb. So it's not really going to have a significant impact on blood sugar. If you think about something like pasta, right? 1 cup of cooked pasta can have 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrate. So this has way, way less in a 1 cup serving. Okay, so let's talk about the glycemic index of pumpkin. Now, if you look at just glycemic index alone, it's actually surprisingly high with pumpkin. Pumpkin is ranked at a 75. So if you just saw that, you saw a 75 for glycemic index, you'd probably think that pumpkin isn't a good choice for people with diabetes and maybe you need to avoid it. But what I want you to remember is I told you that a whole cup of pumpkin is only 9 grams of net carbs, right? So that's actually less than a lot of starchy vegetables and less than most fruits. So it's really not a food you need to avoid. And that's why I'm not really a big fan of glycemic index. And if you've been here a while and you've been watching my channel, you know in my previous videos I've talked about the downside of glycemic index. I have a video up on glycemic index versus glycemic load you can check out so you really understand the difference and what matters. But the thing with glycemic index is it's not really that helpful because it's not telling you anything about the amount of food you're going to eat. Okay, so we can see that the GI or the glycemic index of pumpkin is on the high end, but it's really not relevant to you because it's not determining how much you're actually going to eat of the food. The only thing that does that is if we look at the glycemic load. So if we look at the glycemic load of pumpkin, and let's assume we're eating about a cup of pumpkin, we're going to see that it actually has very little impact on blood sugar because the glycemic load for a cup of pumpkin is only 3. And that means it's very, very low on that glycemic load scale, which means it has very little impact on blood sugar. So don't get worked up over a glycemic index of pumpkin being high. It really means very little. The glycemic load shows us it has very little impact on blood sugar, as well as the total carbohydrates in pumpkin as well. So definitely not a food you need to avoid. And typically, unless you're eating an abundance of it, a small serving of pumpkin is not going to have a major impact on blood sugar. Okay, so let's talk about pumpkin and diabetes specifically, because you know now that pumpkin is relatively low in carbs and it's going to have a pretty much minimal impact on blood sugar. But I want to talk about some specific health benefits. And I have really, really good news for you, because if you do love pumpkin, it does have some health benefits that are pretty impressive, especially for people that are actively trying to prevent or manage diabetes. All right, and one of the reasons for this is there's compounds found in pumpkin that have been shown to increase insulin production. They've also been shown to help lower blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity. So that's kind of amazing. These compounds in pumpkin together might help your body produce more of its own insulin, lower the insulin resistance of your cells, and lower blood sugar levels. So it's definitely something to consider. Now, obviously, more research always needs to be done, but studies have found that that could be a potential benefit of eating more pumpkin. So it's certainly a food I wouldn't shy away from if you enjoy it. Okay, so let's talk about how to eat pumpkin if you have diabetes. Now, as much as I would love to tell you this, and I'm sure all my pumpkin pie fans out there would love to hear it, unfortunately, the best way to eat pumpkin is not as a pie. I know that's not really a surprise, but it would be great to know. But that's the problem with pumpkin. A lot of times we find pumpkin added to dishes, especially sweet dishes, where there's a lot of added sugar or a lot of additional carbohydrates. So you do have to watch out for that. But pumpkin by itself is actually a very beneficial food. It's low in carbohydrate, it's a good source of fiber. So you can eat pumpkin alone, but one of the best ways to eat it, especially if we're talking about that 1 cup serving of cooked pumpkin, is to balance it out with a source of healthy fat or lean protein or additional fiber, so it mutes the blood sugar response even further, as well as helps you to feel full and satisfied. Now, when you think about all the ways to use pumpkin can be incorporated into so many recipes. You'll see it in a lot of sweet dishes, but you can blend it into savory ones too. Pumpkin can go into smoothies. You can make a lower carb dessert and sweeten it with cinnamon, or you can even incorporate it into savory dishes like soups and casseroles. I have an entire blog post I'm going to link to below that is really highlighting diabetes-friendly pumpkin recipes that I think you're going to love. So if you want to eat more pumpkin and you want to do it in a lower carb way that's friendly for blood sugar, check that link out below, and I think you're going to love some of those recipes. Okay, so what's the bottom line? Can you eat pumpkin with diabetes? Absolutely. But when you do it, you have to remember that not only does pumpkin taste great, if you enjoy pumpkin, it's great to have in your meal plan, but it also can have some surprisingly great benefits when it comes to diabetes and blood sugar management. But I want you to focus on how you eat it, okay? If we're incorporating pumpkin in dishes that add a large amount of added sugars and carbohydrates or unhealthy fats, that is not going to be beneficial to our blood sugar or our overall health. So pumpkin alone, or incorporated into a dish with lean protein and healthy fat with no additional added sugars or very few, that's really the best way to enjoy pumpkin. So you get the taste and you keep your blood sugar managed as well. So I want to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy pumpkin so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar? Tell me in the comments below. And if you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss new tips, tricks, and recipes. Thanks so much for joining me.